Should have done that. All right, so we are now live. Now, also, we are broadcasting on Main Street Media Utah, kmmu.org. I'm using their platform to hopefully get us out to a few more people, as well as they have a live Twitter feed. They also were broadcasting this live over Rumble and YouTube for them, but we're doing it on K Talk. Here shortly, I'm going to be having uh, David Pyne join me. We're going to have him join me at about 10:40. But for the moment, I'm just going at it with myself and Lowell Nelson for a few minutes. But as we heard on the news, because I didn't get this up and running soon enough, I just had a brain, didn't get it done. We didn't, the audience didn't get to hear, or at least the restream. Our audience here on K Talk on KM KBJA AM 1640 got to hear that there is breaking news that the head of Secret Service just stepped down, and want to make sure that I have her name correct. Kim Chettle resigns. So, and then also we have, so 10 days ago, roughly, Donald Trump was attempted assassination attempt. Only, in my opinion, by the grace of God, did he not get killed. Um, I want to talk to Lowell Nelson a little bit about someone he's on. He's on a show in the mornings with Sam Bushman, Liberty Roundtable. And so Sam has had the running. He has mentioned that he thought Trump was in on it at one point in time. I'm not sure if he still feels that way, but in my opinion, there's no way that Trump is on. Okay, so Cheadle, or I think it's Kimberly Cheadle. And Dwayne, it's good to know that you're hearing me. So I've also got someone helping me on the KMMU side bring information to me. So Lowell Nelson, glad to have you joining me. You're not necessarily on camera. Maybe I should have figured something else out to get this on. But Lowell Nelson, what are your thoughts, my friend?
Well, thanks for having me, John. Appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I don't know that, like I told Sam on the show, I don't know that Trump would have agreed to be a target. If he's in on it, I mean, are you going to trust your life with a sniper shot from over 100 yards to clip your ear and not get your head? I just don't think he would go for that. I think that's a little far-fetched. So I don't know if he was in on it or not. I think I do believe it's probably a deep state operation. Why they, to try to take him out, and I think they botched it. And so,
well, I don't know that Sam Bushman has put down enough shots downrange personally to know that that doesn't work, because at 130 yards, all it takes is a little bit of a gust of wind. It takes an improper trigger pull. I mean, I've even heard people that are serious shooters, meaning like this opinion has been floated around on the internet and pretty much debunked by every sniper.
mm-hmm.
There's no way that he would be on it, because it doesn't take much to be an inch off. Not 9 times out of 10. Yeah, you think you could do it, but the bottom line is they're not going to use an AR-15, because AR-15s, while accurate, are not. I mean, you can put an AR-15 and you can shoot 130 yards, and you could have everything be mechanical, and you're still going to have a little bit of a deviant spread. You're going to have a little bit of a spread. You take all the human components out of it, doing the perfect trigger pull, you're still going to have that. Now you throw in, and the bottom line is, if it was We don't have someone who we know that was a trained sniper. You're going to use like a 308. You're going to use some other type of rifle to do that type of shot. And with what we were told, there's no way. And there's no so Donald Trump is not the type of individual that's going to put himself in. Oh yeah, I agree to be put at risk.
No.
No, I just that I put enough bullets down range and seen even good shooters pulled, and the snipers are like, there's no way. There's no way that they agreed to it.
Right. So I think it was a combination of incompetence on the part of the Secret Service and local law enforcement, as well as the deep state does want to get rid of him. They uh, they probably bungled this one though, and they've made him more famous now than ever before. I think they're mad about that. But the one comment that I've read some columns we haven't mentioned here is this aspect of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? The DEI mantra, this paradigm being followed by the Secret Service in their hiring practice, right? They don't hire the best people. They hire based on the color of your skin, right? They want to respect this diversity, equity, and inclusion mantra. And so instead of getting the best people for the job, they now just get the so-called right people for the job. Well, in my opinion, they're undermining their primary mission, which is to protect the lives of the president and presidential candidates by hiring, affirmatively, the people of the right color of skin and meeting quotas and, including all kinds of people in their lineup. That should not be their primary mission. Their primary mission is to protect the life of the president. And they need the very best people to do that job. And so this diversity, equity, inclusion is wrong-headed. And I think they're not the only agency, Secret Service, that does that. They all do it, and it's wrong-headed, John.
So the other thing is, I having spoken with some individuals that have not Secret Service experience, but service in special operations, from SWAT to military. Um, I haven't received their permission that I can use their names. So, folks, you're going to either have to believe that Talk with John lies and makes up everything, or he's actually had these conversations. And Michael Letts has even talked about this too. The bottom line is, the bottom line is, they're like, there's no way that this happened. There's too many errors that happened for it to be just complete incompetency. So I don't buy that. Another thing that was pointed out to me by a couple of individuals is, so Donald Trump's 6'3". It is standard procedure that you hire, and I think we even mentioned this last week. When you have a tall individual, you've got to have people that match his height.
Mhm.
6'4". I want to say that. I'm trying to remember what percentage of the male population is 6'4". I want to say it's like, or under 6'4". I want to say it's like 90% of the male population. So you're still going with, but there is enough people that could be in the Secret Service. They have enough people in the Secret Service that 6'4", they can get some people to cover. You don't have a woman. You don't. It's not. If you can find a woman that's 6'4", then okay. Then and she meets the other qualifications, you have a chance.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, you do not have someone, whether it be, you don't have a 5'10" male in that detail.
Right.
And so and if you noticed, there were a number of the guys that were equal to his height.
Mhm.
There was one one person who was glaringly shorter.
Yeah.
I want to say she probably was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5'6", 5'7", maybe a little shorter. I mean, Donald Trump was well over a head taller than her.
Mhm.
And so the bottom line is, they were like, it doesn't matter. You just don't have someone that height.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. But I also want to get your thoughts. All right, do we not? Let's get this commercial break.
Computer science, computer engineering, or related field. Requires 24 months employment experience as an analyst or related position, including 24 months experience with the following: data analysis, data visualization,
Yeah, it's a
and quality
combination of
assurance and
incompetence
quality
and
control
I
techniques,
think
working with health system
conspiracy
data,
to kill.
building database objects in SQL.
So the question is, was it built-in
TSQL,
incompetence?
writing complex SQL
Built-in with
codes,
DEI.
writing SAS, Python,
I think
or other
I think it's
relevant programs
built-in
to execute
incompetence to
analytics reports
give the cover
and data
story
submission
of
to federal or state
incompetence.
agencies.
Mhm.
The
It was
database analyst
purposeful
in the Division of
incompetence.
Yeah.
Epidemiology will
I know
develop
what
and
you're saying.
improve existing programming
I mean, some of
extensions,
them, I think Sam was even
and
saying some of
create
them were
SQL server integration
McDonald's or
services,
something.
Huh?
SSIS
Some
packages,
of the Secret Service
implement
were
various
at
database
McDonald's. They were
structures
told to
based
take
on
a break.
end-user feedback.
That is my
Develop
understanding
and
as well.
maintain
So
Microsoft SQL Server
I don't know.
services, functions,
Does
stored
the
procedures,
audience know
and
that
other
Sam
database
is blind?
objects and design,
Most of them
develop
don't
data
know.
ETL processes
Okay.
involving
So, okay,
requirements
I'm like,
gathering, technical
so there's a
design,
couple things with
development
Sam
process.
being blind that I just
Using
go,
agile or other software methodologies as
is
needed on
it not
specific
possible
assignments,
for him
write
to
complex
know
SQL
things,
codes, store
you know,
procedures,
having
use
experience? Like
DDL, DML,
that was
user-defined
kind of
functions to implement the business logic.
my thought
Use
was
execution plan, SQL profiler,
he,
and database engine to
for someone
utilize
like
to optimize
you and I,
queries and
who
enhance
have
the
put a few
performance
bullets
of
down
databases.
range,
Mhm.
Serve as a
no,
technical
that's,
expert in meetings
you know,
to
that
help
that
develop
that's a
custom IT solutions and
makes
perform
no
peer
sense
code
at all in
reviews.
any way, shape, or form. And
Qualified applicants
Kate
must submit a
Dowley
CV to Amanda Watson,
has the same
295 Geppetto Way, Salt Lake City,
thought process as well.
84108,
Mhm.
amanda.watson@hsc.utah.edu.
If you use denture paste instead of
I
sea
mean, I wouldn't
moss,
even want to
your
be
denture's
President
mineral
Trump
will strong.
if I knew
Only
the shooter
Seabond
would
has gradual
intentionally
release technology
miss
and
me,
holds 75%
right?
stronger all
But to
day
just be
versus
within a
paste
foot
without the
is
use.
dangerous.
Seabond,
You
stronger
just
hold,
don't do
no
that.
booze all day.
It could blow out an eardrum. I'm surprised. It'll be interesting to find out if he.
Plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and
Mm.
drink, all for just $4. But now the
Yeah,
4 for
it's a
4
super
has more
fun
variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices.
I'm loyal to the double stack.
I'm Junior Bacon Cheeseburger through and through.
I picked myself to the crispy chicken sandwich.
I'm
And
loyal
the
to
thing is
my
on top of
whether
him,
you're loyal to one
he
sandwich
would,
or all 8.
you know, you
The
have to be
Wendy's 4 for
standing
4 has
like
a sandwich for
perfectly
you.
still.
So try them
Yeah,
all
and
and
he
pick
was
your
moving
favorite.
And
around.
if you move at all, I mean, all it takes is on the target end. All right, folks, this is Talk with John. Okay, so the bottom line is, so hopefully that didn't go over the air. It may have gone over KMMU or conversation. I just realized it may have gone over, but still, okay. So one of the things that we were covering in the conversation is it just doesn't make sense for two people that have shot. The thought process of, and this is not, you know, this is in a number of places, not just Sam Bushman's show and Kate Dowley. Did I say it right? Kate
Yeah.
Dowley, as well as a number of places throughout. You know, an individual just moves their head just a little bit. That goes from grazing in air to take, you know, 1 inch to taking out your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't think to me, it just doesn't make sense. Want to get your thoughts on Biden's resignation. That came across Sunday afternoon. When did you find out? So here,
Well, yeah, I found out just recently, of course, and at the time, I also heard a report that Jill Biden had been charged with elder abuse, right? Because she is, you know, helping to prop him up, basically. And this article I was reading said that he's probably going to die within a few weeks. I mean, he's on his way out. I mean, he's that far gone.
okay, I have not seen that article. I'd love you to. So I have not heard anything about her being charged for elder abuse. And the bottom line is, anybody that wants to claim elder abuse when it comes to Joe Biden, I don't think so. And here's the reason why. Joe Biden wants to be president so bad. he doesn't want to let that down. He doesn't want to put that down. And Jill Biden, I'm not going to say that she isn't pushing him and Hunter isn't pushing him to do it. I wish I would have seen that same story, because that's something. In a couple of weeks, I could believe that he could pass away in a couple of weeks. That I could believe. And I even, that call into the RNC, I even have questions on whether that was an AI, because there was none of his like real verbiage faux pas that have been happening in every conversation that I've ever seen him in for more than like 30 seconds. He has some type of hitch in his verbiage. Now Talk with John has a hitch in his verbiage probably every 3 minutes, but there's none of the consistency. That was obviously a prepared statement. He was going from, I just think that there's a very good chance. Yeah, I think there's a good chance he could pass away, but Jill Biden, I haven't seen that anywhere, because I think that'd be on the Gateway Pundit. That would be Lou Rockwell. There'd be all over the place if that was, she was to be charged with elder abuse.
Well, no, I don't say it's a criminal charge. It's some doctor.
Oh, people
saying that she, ought to be charged.
Okay, all right. Now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can see a doctor saying that kind of, but I'm just going, I don't know. All right, so
Because Jill wants to stay in the White House.
Jill wants to be there.
That's why she's been propping him up for weeks and weeks. That was the essence of the story. I don't know how true it is. You and I, John, we can't make these determinations. We just have to either believe or not believe the news reports that come to us from whatever source.
Great point, and that's a great point. So I had Paul Jensen gave me this advice when I first was going to start my show. Frankly, when I was a producer on K Talk for Mark Maxon, God rest his soul, I learned it then. I learned it from some others. I learned it from Richard Perry. I learned it from John Statmiller of the Republic Broadcasting Network, and some others gave me advice. We're not at all of these events. And even if you're at these events, even if we were there watching it, we had the most perfect bird eye view in the stands, right? Maybe even if we were up on standing right behind the shooter, somehow God made us invisible and said, an angel came to us and said, the archangel Michael came to us and said, I'm making you invisible and you're not going to be heard, but you're going to be able to see, right? I'm going to put you up on this building so you can see exactly what happens from his perspective. True, but you don't know if there's a sniper behind. There's some things that go into play. Even if you have all the quote unquote knowledge of the moment, you don't know all the backstory that's going on. So as you and I talked about off air, the bottom line is, in my opinion, it was, how much of it is DEI, how much of it was just mistakes, and I said how much of it is intentionally caused mistakes to have it actually be an assassination and deep state part of it. And I personally believe the deep state's involved. I don't know if Joe Biden knows. I don't know if even Kimberly Cheadle knows. I don't know. I don't know that. And without God's knowledge, I don't know that anyone can know it. But I will say this. In my mind, there's no question that that was an orchestrated event. But okay, back to diverting. I've diverted away. Now I need to divert back to the question that I initially posed. Biden stepping down from office. How do you think this plays out? So I had a number of people that have said, "Oh yeah, it's a slam dunk for Donald Trump." Well, the poll numbers initially that I read yesterday there was about a 6-point spread. This morning coming in, I heard the national numbers are now, it's a 2-point spread for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is at 47, and I want to say she's at 45. Some initial numbers I heard yesterday were like 52% for Donald Trump. And I was like, oh man, I hope that stays. Because if it's 52% or 55% Donald Trump, in a in a regular election, that'd hold up. Now we also know the funny business happens with the deep state, and it was interesting. I was in a okay, so let's hit Biden, and then I want your thought, because I had a conversation with a new Utah flag favoring Republican. He actually flies that flag. So to me, yeah, that says something. Okay, so I had a conversation with him about the elections and so forth and his thoughts. So, but I want your thought on Biden stepping down. How do you think this plays out?
Well, he's stepping down his candidacy, but he's not stepping down as president. So he'll continue to be president. And it's just that he's not going to be the nominee for the Democrat Party. And so I think the numbers, when you said those poll numbers, the question in my mind was, well, are they believable, right? I mean, you can poll and get whatever numbers you want,
right?
And of course, the left is going to push whatever news whatever narrative will fit the result they want to see in November, right? So they're going to push this idea that they're neck and neck all the way down to the end so that they can pull off this big upset. So Kamala Harris wins over Donald Trump in November, when in reality, Trump is going to have probably a couple 100,000 more votes than Kamala Harris across the nation. And so, but the Democrats are going to try to steal the election again, right? Whichever party cheats better is going to win this election. Are
you saying Republicans have cheated?
Absolutely. They are both dirty.
I would say we've got some Republicans at the top of the government here in Utah that I have serious questions about myself. All right,
question answers itself there, John.
Yeah. It's Spencer Cox and Dieter Henderson. How about this? They're not absolutely forthcoming with things. I will say that at the very least, right? They don't. They definitely work the system for their advantage alone. Arkansas Dave, what's on your mind?
Does anyone remember back in late April, I was on air with David Pyne mentioning Kamala Harris becoming president and he defiant? Does anyone remember that?
Back in when?
April, last week of April, with David Pyne mentioning Kamala Harris becoming president in July.
In July. No, I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah, we'll get the archives out.
How about this? Arkansas Dave? Go to SoundCloud /media, K-Talk Media, and you find where that is. You tell me which show it was and roughly what minute. I'll even play it live on air to say Arkansas Dave prediction. So I'll let you go through the archives. All right.
Okay. No, but I think I've earned the right to make some more comments because of that.
Okay, so fire away.
I've been doing some remote viewing on Gretchen Whitmer and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, back in the 1470s, was executed for witchcraft by the Spanish Inquisition. She had some rocks tied around her ankle, was thrown into a lake and drowned. When you get someone like this, that they want to take it out on any nation that they think is Christian. Gretchen Whitmer, the 1500s, Edinburgh, Scotland, the Catholic Church in Scotland executed about 2,500 women for witchcraft, and Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, was one of those women. Okay, these are two witches. And
Just so you know, Arkansas Dave, I have we should be talking about this. We should be coast to coast right now, and this should be in the late evening. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. I've got a big smile on my face, but I'm going to let you continue.
Yeah, as I said before, the truth is a burn forget missile. If what I've said is complete nonsense, it'll come to nothing. If it's the truth, it'll hit its target.
Okay, so what is your prediction from? Is it just they're angry? And so Gretchen Whitmer, it'll be Gretchen Whitmer and Kamala Harris?
Oh, while I was spinning around in the Spanish Inquisition, Jimmy Carter was executed in the Spanish Inquisition. He was executed on the rack.
Okay, so where was I at during the Spanish Inquisition?
Well, that was roughly the 1470s.
I was in the 1470s?
No, not you, Jimmy Carter.
I'm just saying, where was I at, though? When you were doing this remote viewing, where was I at?
Wherever you were at. We'll have to put you in the past life regression to find out.
Okay, all right.
Gretchen Whitmer, Edinburgh, Scotland, 1590. I think it was 1590.
Arkansas Dave, you lost. I admit it. You've kind of lost me on this one. All right, so what is your prediction now that's going to happen here in the current present day?
We're waiting for Joe Biden's heart attack right now. We're waiting on Joe Biden's heart attack right now.
Okay.
I believe Kamala Harris is just not going to be the head of the ticket. She's going to be president soon. I've been predicting that for 4 years. I said the week that he picked. See, this was so strange. Okay, if you take, since World War II, if you take John F. Kennedy, who was the vice presidential Democratic nominee in 1956, he was the vice president on the ticket. 6 people: Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Milhouse Nixon, George Bush Sr., and Joe Biden. 6 people have gone from vice president to president. Okay? If you give someone vice president, you're setting them up to be president. Kamala Harris ran for president for about 3 weeks back in 2020, and then she said, I cannot raise any money, I'm dropping out. In other words, the National Democrats did not like her. And then she, in a debate, said Joe Biden's racist policies hurt me when I was a kid. And then Joe Biden turns around and makes her the VP. Okay, something is fishy. I said the week he picked her, I said something is going on here. They're going to get Joe Biden elected, and then the Kamala Harris, he's going to resign, and Kamala Harris is going to become president. I said that 4 years ago. That's what we're looking at right now.
So who is going to be Kamala's VP?
They're talking Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out and get a good read on it, and it's elusive.
Okay. Well, Arkansas Dave, I'm going to say thanks for your call, brother.
Okay. You have a good day.
You as well. Take care. All right, folks. Okay, so he mentioned something. I'm going to see if I can find the article real quickly. I've got a bunch of articles that are pulled up as okay, but there is an article related to that the Harris campaign is looking to have an all-female ticket, and watch it be the last thing that I click on. Nope, it's not going to be the last thing I click on. Oh boy, I was trying to find that while he was but there was an article that I saw when I was, and I can't find it right now because I have a bunch of other articles. There was an article that I read that said that the Democrats are leaning towards picking an all-women ticket to counteract the GOP's misogynistic ticket. So I would say to Arkansas Dave that there's some truth in that. Folks, we're going to be going to a commercial break now. For those of you on KMMU.org, the bottom line is I realize there on those platforms. They don't need to have it. We are a regular radio station, so we need to have, we need to get the income from our advertisers, and we need to take care of them. So I'm going to see if I can find that article. I will mention it real quickly when we get back. And this is Talk with John. I've had Lowell Nelson with me. I'm going to let you finish up a final thought. Hopefully we get David Pyne to join us here momentarily as well. This is Talk with John. We'll talk with you all soon.
You're listening to K-Talk Radio, KBJA.
ARUP Laboratories.
So our
Salt Lake
mics are off,
City
but
is
I
hiring
think
a
the
medical
conversation
laboratory
still
scientist.
happens.
So
between
Dave's
you and I.
going to join you.
I believe
10:40.
so.
Requires bachelor's
I
degree in
mentioned if he could
clinical or
come in at
medical
10:40, and he
laboratory
said he was
science,
going to do his
medical
best.
technology,
Cool.
or in the chemical or biological sciences
So-
and ASCP or AAB certification as MLS or MT. In the special hematology laboratory, the medical laboratory scientist 3 NYQ performs testing methods for cytochemical staining, HPLC, spectrophotometry, capillary electrophoresis, and testing platforms, operates and maintains instrument platforms such as Biorad Variant 2, Radiometer America ABL80, CBA capillaries, 2-plex piercing.
Hey, Dwayne, can you hop on real quick?
Participates in preparing whole blood and bone marrow specimens for processing.
You know what? I sent you the wrong one.
Hello, John.
It is
Quality control, confirming and verifying results. through
It is
methodology,
EMP Task Force
principles, and instruments. Correlates.
is
interprets,
his.
and enters data based on knowledge of factors affecting test results. Qualified candidates must submit a resume to Nancy Lee, ARUP Laboratories, 500 Geppetto Way, Salt Lake City, Utah.
You got a better email for
I think
David
I
Pyne?
do.
ARUPlab.com.
Well, you can send it to him now. All you got to do is grab the
Search
link from the invite guest.
Fire hose. You get more resumes than you know what to do with. Robert Half is the better way to hire.
I can hear your commercials coming through and your callers. So.
Hiring requirements quickly, satisfaction guaranteed.
All right. Say that again.
I can hear your commercials coming through and your callers.
Oh, hold on.
Do you have,
Okay,
do you have
what
a
was
better?
that?
Do you have a better email for David Pyne?
I'm texting him right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. I just sent that off. All right. So I just texted him if that was the best email to use. All right, folks, this is Talk with John. So today is a little jerky because we're having some hiccups because I'm trying to bring in another platform to help boost the K-Talk platform and also letting K-Talk use this platform for me to be able to bring in people live as well. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So let's go to, so real quickly, any thoughts real quickly from Lowell?
Yeah, thank you, John. And I'll just let this be my parting shot, my parting thought. Alan Stevo wrote a great column posted at LouRocco.com last week where he's talking about the assassin is not dead. Trump's assassin is alive. Trump's assassin is the CIA. Right, and so he talks about the organization, the CIA, has been undermining regimes since the 1950s. That's like over 70 years, folks. For CIA, we have allowed the CIA to grow, and so the real assassin is at Langley, Virginia, and the real enemies that we face, folks, is the deep state centered in Langley, Virginia. The Fed, because they print the money that allows the deep state to flourish, and the Congress in Washington, D.C., who could, if they would, defund and kill the Fed. So Congress has it in their hands to kill the assassins of Trump and of Reagan, the attempt on Reagan's life and JFK, right? And of RFK. So the deep state is our real enemy. There, you know, we talk about Russia, we talk about China, we talk about Ukraine, but you know, that's secondary. That's number 1,000. They don't even make the top 10. The biggest threat to our republic is Langley, the Fed, and Washington, D.C., because our own Congress will not stop the Fed, which funds the deep state and allows them to do all their shenanigans. So Alan Stevo's plea to us, John, is to target the real assassins.
I would say it's the Fed, then the CIA.
Yeah, you got to get the House to kill the Fed, which would then undermine and stop the CIA. Right?
Yes.
But that's we got to do it. The public has to stand up, and we need to
demand it as a public. I guarantee you, if they all of a sudden started getting 100 phone calls a day, and the Fed, that probably would happen.
Yeah.
Now we might get a world war out of it. We may get a nuclear attack. And I forgot the very first thing that I started playing, even at the beginning of the show, was the comment of the NBC host saying, floating the idea of an all-female Dem ticket to push back on the all the machoism of the JOP ticket. You know, Hulk Hogan and stuff like that being seen. Okay, let's go to Window Washer Chris. Window Washer Chris, what's your thought, real quick?
I think Christians in this nation are going to be deceived by what's about to happen. They're going to get their wish. Donald Trump will become our next president. But you have to understand the mind of Satan. Satan would love to force us to do his will. But you know what he loves even more? He loves even more when we voluntarily do his will. And voting for Donald Trump, I believe, falls under that category. We know that Donald Trump is not a Christian. We know that he's not a conservative. Yet we've vested so much hope.
Whoa, Window Washer Chris, I'm going to jump on right there. You do not know that he's not a Christian. I don't know that he's not a Christian. Now, you can say he doesn't act like the type of Christian you think he should be, but to say that you know he's not a Christian, he said he's a Christian. So one of the things that we have to do is, even in our scriptures, it says that we have to honor people's words. So now, if he may not be Christian enough, okay, I'm fine with that statement. But to say that he's not Christian, there's plenty of, go ahead. So, Chris, Window Washer Chris.
I'm willing to see that. John, I'm willing to see that point. I love, as a Christian myself, I love the man. I have nothing personally against him. But the deep state is not going to give a Christian an estimated $5 billion worth of free media coverage and get him elected to the president. I'm talking about the 2016 election.
I will disagree with you as well. I will disagree with you okay, so here is, in the Old Testament, there was a time where another nation's king was raised, was allowed to help Israel, right?
Yes.
It was, a prophet came to him. Okay, so the bottom line is, there is a possibility that I'm going to say this for Donald Trump. I can see a scriptural possibility that even though he may not be the best Christian, that he could be divinely allowed to be put in place. Satan can say, I think this is the way I want to do it, and God can use that purpose. There was something. Okay, I have a question for you. I'm going to ask you a yes or no, and you can give me a little bit more background. And unfortunately, we're going to have to be quick because I think David Pyne is going to be joining me any moment. But my question to you is, do you believe that Donald Trump, that bullet missing his skull and only hitting his ear, do you believe that was divine intervention?
I believe in Sam Bushman. I believe that it was set up because it would be very difficult for somebody to nip somebody's ear in an attempted assassination attempt. Is that a coincidence? Possibly. But I think they set it up to create this godlike savior image in Donald Trump. And I think that's also part of his plan.
Okay, so, all right, hold on. Time out. Rob, please mute yourself or I'm going to have to hang up on you. Okay, so here's my question. You think that I'm willing to go with Sam that maybe Donald Trump was in on it, but there's no way that Donald Trump was in on that shot that was taken at him. There's no way that happened because I'm sorry. I've been on too many firing ranges. I've talked to too many people. There's no way. If Sam is completely wrong on this one, and I'm not going to go into the reasons why Sam doesn't know, but I'm telling you, Sam doesn't know.
Well, it's somewhat irrelevant. What happened boosted his image in the eyes of Christians to the point where they believed that it was through divine intervention that he survived that attempted assassination attempt. And that plays right into Satan's hands. They want people to associate Donald Trump with Christianity. So when they pull the plug on the economy, they can say, aha, see what happens when we have Christian conservative leadership in this country? It's the perfect plan.
Okay, so I might even go. Okay, so Window Washer Chris, I might even go with that theory of yes, and you and I have both been in agreement that there's a very good chance that they're going to pull the plug on the economy, right? I've said that to you, right? If Trump gets back in, Chris, Window Washer Chris, you and I have agreed that there's a very good chance that it will be plugged. Why wouldn't they? There's plenty. I don't know why do they do the things they do? Beats me. Okay, so Window Washer Chris, here's my point. The bottom line is, I think the hand of God came in, and not necessarily because he was a righteous man. I've said that. I've said it multiple times, and you need to listen more. I don't think that necessarily the reason why Donald Trump was spared because of him being righteous, like George Washington being righteous. Okay? I think the reason why his life was spared was because of what God intends for the American people. And that's my last statement. You've got 10 seconds, and then I need to get to Rob. And I'm also going to try, while you guys are doing this, I'm going to call David Pyne and see if I can get him on.
Maybe it was divine intervention, God allowing us to have our way as far as worshiping this man as the savior figure to teach us a lesson on what happens when you trust in the arm of flesh.
Now that I won't even disagree with in any way, shape, or form. Window Washer Chris, thanks for your call, brother. Have a good one. Have a great week. God bless you, and happy 24th. Okay. Rob, unmute yourself. What's going on? I tried.
Why don't we, Chris, Window Washer, this time around, I mean, you got it wrong last time about the collapse of the economy under his presidency. It didn't even happen under Biden.
Hey,
Well, the economy never
did you
collapsed
receive the
and all
email
that
from
hell
me?
we went
Or
through
not from me, but
back
Dwayne
then,
Benson with the link. It should have just barely come in. Okay.
focus on
All right.
what the Securities and Exchange
Let me see what I can do to get it to you ASAP. All right.
blockchain.
Sorry about that.
Get your head wrapped around blockchain. Because guess what? Nobody can cook the book when everything's done in the blockchain. There's no line. Elections should be on the blockchain. So focus on that this time around. It's starting to sound, unfortunately, like a broken record. They're not going to pull the plug every time. They're not going to have a world war. And the reason why they're not going to do any of that stuff is because they're making too much money on us right now. We're the slaves. They're not going to kill the golden goose. Trust me.
I disagree with that opinion. Lowell, do you just so here's the thing. Whoa, Rob. Here's what the deep state and those individuals are the most desirous for. It's power and control. Now, money gives you that on a big level, but it's more. Money is a medium of exchange, even for the most powerful, but power is power and control is control. They'd rather have power and control.
Let me ask you something, John. How do you participate in their power?
You step. Well, blockchain would be one of them, but then they've got an EMP that they can launch, and then your finances are gone. You go back to gold. You go. Whoa, 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 whoa. You hold on. Let me answer your question. You want to know how you get out of it? You do barter, and you use gold, silver, and other precious metals.
You got that right. You grow your own food. You learn how to live off the land. That's how you get it done. You know how many people would perish if that moment came? You know how many people would perish? You think for one instant they're going to pull the plug on the economy? They're going to pull all the pension plans, all these government workers. They're going to shut down the veterans.
If they want to create civil war, they absolutely yes.
You know
Oh,
how many derivatives around the world are owed? Far more than what's on the table. They're not going to do it. I've been hearing it for decades upon decades. And it's great to be prepared, but they're not going to do it. You think if you really wanted to blow the United States off the map, you think you would have done it already? You could have done it easy. You got hypersonic missiles. We can't touch those things. You could have delivered ICBMs all over the United States overnight. That's going to happen. Trust me.
all right, Rob. Thanks for your call, brother. Appreciate you.
Well, in part, I do agree with Rob on this, John, because they want to amass enough power. They want to, the globalists. They're gangs, just like gangs in LA, right? Fighting for turf, right? There's more than one gang. There's a number of dirty gangs, secret combination type gangs that want control of the globe, right? And so they're going to fight. And there's also the movement to kill a lot of people and the globe, but they are.
David, I'll be bringing you on momentarily. So as soon as you're done doing what you're doing, I'll bring you on. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready for me to bring you in, brother.
As soon as the gangs decide that they can exert control without getting blown away, that's when they'll do it. So yeah, they will exert control, and so I guess I partially disagree with Rob on this too. At some point, they will blow us away, right? And because they want control more than they want money. Money gave them control, but once you have so much money, then the only thing left to get is control, power and control. So I see it happening. There's people like Bill Gates. They want to reduce the population of the earth to less than 1 billion people. That's exerting control. And but until they know that they can accomplish their end, yeah, they'll keep letting things float along as they amass power and influence and control. But one of these days, it's going to be lights out for a lot of people, a lot of Christians, and a lot of people that go up against the beast. So anyway, just be found doing what's right, because you'll have God's blessings if you're found doing what's right.
Well, we got David Pyne just as we're going to the top of the hour. So David, please forgive me for not being able to do what it took on my end to get you here. But we're going to have you all for the next hour. So if you'll bear with us, we're going to have you on. Folks, this is Talk with John here on K-Talk Radio and KMMU.org.
Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens, and they need people.
All right, so David, you and I are still live on KMMU.org platform that you've been on before, and I want to say thank you for being here. Dwayne, if you can bring yourself in real quickly. because we're going to do this again.
What do you need, John? What would you like?
So David, you did not receive an email from Dwayne Benson, right? Lowell, thank you. God bless you.
You too, man.
Hey, have a happy 24th.
You too.
Yeah, I emailed the Substack email, but I don't think that's right.
Okay, so did you get my text that said EMP Task Force?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
So I have the right email now.
Okay. All right.
But it looks like David's here. So
yes, so what I did is just a quick copy and paste and sent it. All right. So hold on for a second on my folks. Just momentarily, I will get the top of the hour news up and running. We will get that going here momentarily, and then we will be having David Pyne join us, as well as we will have Main Street Media. We're broadcasting on Main Street Media Utah, and we will look forward to be doing that as well. Let's get the news up and running now.
You're doing fine with us, John, for this experiment. Hello, David. Welcome.
Thanks.
All right. So was that news feed coming through on your end?
The news feed right now?
It's not playing right now, but a moment ago, did you hear it come through?
Yes, I can hear anything that you run through your
okay
K-Talk. Okay.
Well, we will get this figured out here, and it'll be running smoothly. David, please forgive us. You are our first time doing this, and we've had some hiccups. I apologize, because I really did want to get you on at 10:40, and I must say this is mine to own. I apologize. But
well, John, you're doing fine. This is just an experiment, and I think if I'd had the right email for David, he'd have been here at 10:40. So
yeah, and that was totally on me not sending you the right email. I apologize to Wayne, and I apologize to you, David.
No, it's fine. You're doing great, John.
The Substack. I sent him your Substack.
Yeah, email. It was the wrong email. Okay, I'm going to disappear into the background. You guys carry on.
Sounds good. David, for some reason, I am not. I'm not able to open the Substack, that Substack that you sent over to me.
Okay.
I don't know why. I should be able to figure it out later and mention it. So I'm just going to let's talk about that first. Let's do that, the very first thing, and then we'll get into the other stuff. I want to get that covered. All right.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. So I'm plugging this in, and we're going to be live over the air.
The country has seen a surge in people identifying as atheists, agnostics, and followers of no particular religion over the past 20 years. But the growth of that cohort has slowed sharply over the past couple of years. Just sorting out of the American populace has been achieved. The nuns, as researchers call them, are about 22 to 23% of the U.S. population, which is the most ever. Their numbers seem to have stabilized. Michael Harrington, SRM News. HIV-positive people who were convicted in Tennessee prostitution under a decades-old aggravated prostitution law will no longer be required to appear on a sex offender list. Under a lawsuit settlement finalized last week. In 2023, LGBT and civil rights advocates filed a federal suit challenging the volunteer state's aggravated prostitution statute. The challenge was settled last week. This is SRA News. A new UN report on HIV and AIDS.
A new UN report says that every minute someone in the world dies of AIDS-related causes. UN agency leading the effort to end the global AIDS pandemic says nearly 40 million people are living with HIV.
The University of Utah in Salt Lake City is hiring an assistant professor.
The report says that while advances are being made to end the AIDS pandemic, progress is slow, funding is shrinking, and new infections are rising in the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Latin America. The report says in 2023, about 630,000 people died from AIDS-related illnesses. I'm Donald Wood.
The severe report court of Los Angeles County, the largest trial court in the country, has been closed after a cybersecurity attack last Friday. The 36 courthouses did reopen today. More details at srnnews.com. I'm John Scott.
This position requires PhD in geology, earth sciences, or related field, and at least 4 first-authored peer-reviewed publications demonstrating research interest in petrology, geochronology, geochemistry, or tectonics utilizing skills/methodologies that collectively quantitatively employed a mixture among remote, field, laboratory, and numerical simulation, with extensions to contemporary issues, including sustainability, and at least 3 semesters college-level teaching experience. This experience can be through employment, training, or an academic program. The assistant professor in the Department of Geology and Geophysics will teach undergraduate and graduate courses such as mineralogy and petrology, igneous and metamorphic petrology, engage in research, and provide service to the department and university. Qualified applicants must submit a CV to Thea Hatfield, 115 South, 1460 East, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84112, thea.hatfield@utah.edu.
You're listening to K-Talk Radio, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake City, and all across the Wasatch Front. Bring you live, local two-way talk.
K-Talk Radio, K-Talk audience, this is Talk with John here. I am your host, John, on K-Talk Radio, on the Talk with John show. Mondays and Tuesdays, 10 a.m. to noon. Typically, you can join me right here and interact with me and the guests that I have on. Also, another way to interact with me is on my Twitter handle, Talk with John 1. Folks, I look forward to being with David Pyne for the remainder of the hour. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. But before we get going, I want to kind of give out my top of the hour show prayer and show mantra. I hope my show is a gift back to my forefathers, the founding fathers, and may it be an acceptable token to our Father above. That's the prayer of my heart when it comes to doing this show. The show mantra that I try to follow is, where there is liberty, there is the Spirit of Christ. Where the Spirit of Christ is, there is liberty. And the greater the Spirit of Christ, the greater liberty will be. That's taken throughout places throughout Scripture, as well as Article 7. Now, I want to say, bottom line is, the audience should know I'm a hypocrite. I do my best to achieve those things, but I fall short in many ways in areas of my life. So the bottom line is that's my goal to esteem to. Right now, though, I have the great David Pyne joining me. He is, let's see, I did have his bio pulled up. Let's see if I find that. Okay, so David T. Pyne, Esquire, is a former U.S. Army Combat Arms and Headquarters Staff Officer who was in charge of armaments cooperation with former Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas from 2000 to 2003. He has an MA in the National Security Study from Georgetown University. He currently serves as the Vice President of Task Force on National and Homeland Security and is a member of the Committee on the Present Danger of China. Catastrophe Now and America's Last Chance to Avoid an EMP Disaster is a book that he has written, and his new book, Restoring Strategic Deterrence, will be published in early fall of 2024. You can also reach him at his Substack at dpyne.substack.com. That's dpyne.substack.com. All right, David, I owe you and the audience an apology because I got things wrong with you. Now, folks, real quickly, also, those of you that are going to be watching this and are watching this live on other platforms on kmmu.org or Twitter or Rumble and YouTube are the platforms there for kmmu.org. this is being done and simultaneously with my radio show on K-Talk Radio here, broadcasting out of Utah, which is KBJA AM 1640. So we still have the top of the hour news that we need to do, and also we have commercials that need to run. We'll have a commercial that'll start running at about 11 or at about 11, 19, and 30 seconds, somewhere in that neighborhood. So let's get to David Pyne. David Pyne, you put out an article, and we've talked about this a little bit about your peace plan for Ukraine. And I'm hoping a little birdie by the name of, well, we'll give out his initials, Vivek Ramaswamy. Hopefully he will give your article to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and that they can forward that and create that as the new peace plan. Now, if I understood correctly, Donald Trump has already had a conversation with Vladimir Zelensky saying, hey, I want to create peace. Putin just, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, did it gave a speech, and the recording's been around the media. Hey, I understand that Donald Trump wants to create a peace, and I believe he can if he gets voted in. That might have been the reason why the assassination attempt happened, because there are those that don't want it, and there's a lot of people making money from the Ukraine war. So let's talk about your peace plan.
Well, first, John, thanks so much for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to be on. So the Trump assassination happened and on July 13th, and I was just in the middle of rather attempted assassination. I was just in the middle of finishing up and publishing my peace plan on that same day. And essentially, what it is it's a blueprint that Trump can use on day one to establish, I think, a very quick peace agreement with President Putin in a bilateral summit. He's said that he's long said that he plans to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of being inaugurated president for a second term. And essentially, what I did is I analyzed, what the true objectives of each side are in this war, both the U.S. and Russia. And for the U.S., I think the main objective is to perpetuate Ukraine's U.S. protectorate status and to essentially force Russia to acquiesce in that, on a permanent basis. So, and then from the Russian side, what they're trying to do is to expel all U.S. military forces, U.S. and NATO military forces and bases and infrastructure from Ukraine to roll back the threat from NATO. And I think there's a middle ground that we can reach, and that is essentially that Ukraine would pledge not to ever join NATO, but it would remain essentially a non-NATO ally of the U.S. and other NATO countries, and it would have to modify its constitution accordingly. And Russia would have to give up its demand for neutrality, but in exchange, we would pledge that. The U.S. would never expand eastward into any other either Ukraine or former Soviet republics. Ukraine would have to disarm according to the demands of Russia that have been long-standing and essentially agreed to by Ukraine largely under the Istanbul peace agreement of March 31st, 2022. But it could still have military relations with NATO, but no joint military exercises within Ukraine or military trainers in Ukraine. Ukraine would have to recognize Russian control of the next oblasts. It would be not according along their constitutional borders as Putin has requested, but rather along the current line of control. So that would be a concession Russia would have to make as well. And then there'd be a 4-kilometer wide demilitarized zone that would, could be policed by UN or OSCE troops. And the size of the Ukrainian military would have to be 50% of what it was pre-war in terms of active duty troops. There could still be, 500,000 reservists in the event of war broke out. And Ukraine would have to reduce its armaments, weapon systems to the current level of the German army, which, a lot of people think that the German army is well armed because obviously it was the greatest army of the Second World War, but today it's not that large. It's got a large force of armored vehicles, many more than Russia would like Ukraine to have. But in terms of tanks, it has less than Ukraine.
I was going to say, okay, I'm pulling this out of memory banks, and I could be completely wrong. I want to say it doesn't even have like a full division of tanks. Is that correct? Or
no, it does. I mean, it does.
They
have about 315 tanks, somewhere in that, maybe 325. So, they have more than Britain, but less than France. But much less than Turkey, for example, or the U.S. or Ukraine. So these, and then the range of the Ukrainian weapon systems would have to be limited. I'm saying to 40 kilometers. That's what the Russians have requested, and this would, we would essentially be conceding that based on Ukraine remaining a U.S. ally. That's a huge concession that Russia would have to make, and of course, Russia would have to accept the current boundaries of control rather than their demand for additional Ukrainian territory. And then essentially we would agree to a kind of a New START II treaty, which would increase the number of strategic nuclear warheads from 1,550 under the current treaty, New START treaty, to 3,500. And I think that would be really good because that would really incentivize the U.S. to build up that level. We could, reactivate our 2,000 nuclear warheads in reserve, and that would strengthen us tremendously in terms of deterring China. We would also relocate all of our nuclear weapons, our 150 B-61 nuclear gravity bombs in Western Europe, to carriers in the Western Pacific, aircraft carriers that we could use to deter China, because a lot of people don't realize we currently don't have any nuclear weapons in East Asia or Western Pacific, and haven't since 1991, since Bush removed those. So that would help deter China as well. And then lastly, we would agree to not establish any military bases or in any former Soviet republics other than the Baltic states, of course. And we would actually withdraw all of our troops from Eastern Europe, all of the former Warsaw Pact states, as well as the former Soviet republics. And that would essentially create a new security infrastructure in Europe, in which Russia would be part of that security infrastructure, and it would essentially end the Cold War with Russia. It would kind of establish what I call a Russo-American entente, which is similar to the Anglo-French Entente Cordiale of 1904, which subsequently led to a military alliance between Britain and France. That would essentially neutralize the Sino-Russian military alliance and greatly improve America's security situation, as we would no longer be facing the threat of Russian nuclear attack. And then finally, there would be the U.S. and Russia would pledge to each other that neither side would go to war with each other in the event they were attacked by a third party. So, for example, if China were to attack the U.S., Russia would pledge not to get involved in that war on the Chinese side.
Okay, so is that something that you actually think that both could pledge and agree to?
Yeah, and especially Trump. Trump would be, he is reportedly wanting to restructure NATO, and I think this proposal syncs very well with the reports of what he's wanting to do in kind of rolling back the U.S. military presence in Eastern Europe and ending the war in Ukraine.
Okay, I want your thoughts on this. So Robert J. O'Neill was recently interviewed, and I heard him say that he thinks, he's like, we need to just pull out of Ukraine. We need to completely get out of there and say, hey, Europe, this is all on you. This is all on you. You guys need to defend yourself. And I was like, so Robert J. O'Neill, let me, just in case that name doesn't ring a bell to someone or any of our listeners, he is a former Navy SEAL sniper, one of the more accomplished Navy SEAL snipers. And he said, that was on the Biden, final Biden raid. Or not
Obama.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just had a Biden moment, shall we say.
Yep.
So he said, hey, he goes, my thoughts is we just need to pull out completely all together and say, this is on you guys to defend yourselves. And he goes, they need to start stepping up and doing their own defense instead of having the United States. And I was like, wow, coming from a guy that was in Navy SEAL and one of the top Navy SEALs, that's wow. That blows me away.
That's what President Trump has been saying since at least 2018. Essentially telling our NATO allies that we won't defend them unless they increase their military spending to even 2%. Our military spending's close to 3.5, I think, or 3.3%. So they have a long ways to go. Germany, I think, has finally passed a budget along those lines. But I think, I think what we need to do at this point is do exactly what Trump said, and that's negotiate the best deal possible for Ukraine. I mean, we're involved there militarily, essentially. It's not a direct war yet, but we're doing everything but, in Biden's, manufactured proxy war against Russia and Ukraine. So I think we need to use our diplomatic heft to negotiate a good deal and end the conflict. And then after that, then I agree with him that our European allies should supply Ukraine with weapon systems allowed under the agreement. And the U.S. can cut off, we don't have to provide military support anymore.
There are many of those that are over in big government contractors that I don't know necessarily would be thrilled with that thought process of Roberts.
Well, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't really care if we sell them arms after the war is over. My problem is never really been so much providing arms to Ukraine. It's doing so in a way to perpetuate an unnecessary conflict or start a conflict in the beginning. So if anything that Russia is okay with, I'm okay with, and it's not because I'm pro-Russia. It's because I don't want to fight an unnecessary nuclear war with Russia that we don't have to fight when we're facing China at the same time.
We need to go to a commercial break. Hold on. Never mind. I missed the commercial break. Dang it. Okay, so let's get to, and I will make sure that we get the last one in and get it up and running. Okay, so here is my my next question. What is do you think that Donald Trump can even have this peace plan put in place? His statement was, I become president-elect, I will get this handled before I even get into office.
No, I
Do you
don't.
think he can
No,
do
there's
that?
no possibility of him doing that. I mean, technically it's potentially illegal for him to negotiate diplomatic deals, before he becomes president. And there's just really no way that he can do so because he can't commit the U.S. to, or bind the U.S. to such an agreement. So, and there's no reason for him to try to do so. As long as Biden doesn't start World War III before Inauguration Day, it's fine to wait until January 20th.
Any other thoughts on your peace plan that you'd like to get across?
No, I just think it's it's really important. This is something I've spent literally years thinking of in terms of what the best peace plan is. is, and I have multiple versions, but this is the version I think would be most acceptable. And I even think that the Biden administration would be willing to implement this agreement in large part because the Biden administration offered in January 2023 to let Russia essentially keep all of its annexed territories in Ukraine, including the four annexed provinces in Crimea, in exchange for Russian support for Ukraine remaining either a prospective NATO ally or just a military ally in general. And so that's really the red line of the Biden administration. And I think even the neocons could support it as well.
Well, boy, I'd love someone to whisper into Biden's ear, hey, if you were to get a peace plan put forward, you might even be able to get a Nobel Peace Prize.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah,
out of it.
I'm trying to push it and see if I can get it to his national security advisors.
Well, like I said, hopefully you can get it to them. Hopefully you can also give this to Vivek, who can give it to Donald Trump and JD Vance, and hopefully they will push it forward. Well, I want to shift over to 3 topics, and they all kind of coalesce together in some way, shape, or form. One of us happens to be a really cool individual who happened to be back in Milwaukee last week, and one of us happens to not be so cool as to not be there. I must say that I'm a little green with envy that you got to go back to that and you were a part of it. So I want to hear your experience at the Republican National Convention. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the assassination attempt, your thoughts there, as well as Biden stepping down. And now we're going to have Kamala Harris running against Donald Trump. And I love JD Vance's statement. Boy, I was really looking forward to that debate with Kamala Harris, but now it's going to be Donald Trump handling it. Now, he did call out in his acceptance speech that he anticipated that he goes, it's not going to be Kamala Harris, basically, he said. So we all saw that coming. We all knew that was coming down. So let's start with the assassination attempt. I'm gonna bottom line it for you. I don't believe that. I believe that all the incompetence that happened, all the mistakes that happened by the Secret Service and also other individuals, I believe that it equates to more than just a comedy of errors or a tragedy of errors. I believe that was an attempted assassination and that there are the other individuals that were involved in that assassination attempt against Donald Trump. So I will let you slap me down, or I will let you share your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So during the hearings, congressional hearings of the House Oversight Committee with former Secret Service Director Twitchell, she refused to say whether he acted alone. Essentially implied that he may have been working with perhaps inside government officials or another shooter, or perhaps most likely a foreign power, because he had 3 encrypted foreign bank accounts. So he appears to have been paid for the assassination attempt on Trump's life.
How does a 20-year-old have an encrypted bank account that doesn't come from the family of, like multi-millionaires? I never knew anyone that I grew up with that had an encrypted.
Well, they're foreign bank accounts. So he has multiple foreign bank accounts, which means that he could have been paid not just by one country like Iran, but perhaps China as well. So this is definitely a conspiracy. It was a plot. It seems clear that there was foreign support for the assassination attempt. Likely he was paid by a foreign source, but it's also very possible that it was a CIA hit job, which in which Trump's own security detail was compromised, thus allowing him to take the shots that almost killed the president of the United States, former president and future president.
Do you believe that there were multiple shooters, or do you have any thoughts?
You know, it's unclear because there was a water tower that would have been well positioned for a sniper to be able to take hits and then, you know, kind of withdraw out of sight, disappear outside the security perimeter. At this point, I can't say that there was. What I can say is that I know that the shooter did not act alone. He had either foreign and or CIA deep state assistance for the assassination. And I mean, I think it's highly likely that Biden approved the hit. You know, I think there's circumstantial evidence that either Biden or someone in his administration was in on the assassination attempt.
Also, the denial of extra Secret Service when there had already been security issues. The lessening of his detail because Jill Biden and Kamala just happened to be in Pennsylvania as well. I think there are too many. I'm willing to believe that Joe Biden was not in on it because Joe Biden's not in on anything. But those that are controlling that were controlling and are controlling his administration, I think there's I look forward to getting in on the other side. I'm going to bet you Mayorkas, when the history of the world is revealed, that Mayorkas played a part in it as well. I think it's possible that the now former director of the CIA was not in.
Oh, the Secret Service?
Or Secret Service, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The former director of the Secret Services. I believe that it's possible that she's not involved on it. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it could be possible that she wouldn't be involved in on it. But who knows?
She was certainly involved in the cover-up.
I would concur with that. Definitely
was covering up any evidence of government involvement in the assassination attempt.
I found it very interesting how much the Democrats were piling on her yesterday on that as well.
Well, you know, if you remember the assassination of JFK, you know, the shooter himself was assassinated by Jack Ruby.
Right.
I think it was in Texas. So that's often what happens. You know, I mean, in this case, of course, the assassin was killed on the spot by a sniper who I think even, you know, had the sniper in his sights and was refused permission to shoot him until he actually let off rounds against the president. So that's really was the main thing, is that one of our counter snipers took a picture of the would-be assassin nearly an hour before he shot Trump, and he was denied permission to do anything about it, as you know, as in shoot him preemptively.
That he used a ladder to get up top, that there wasn't anybody on that roof that was one of the, if not the most obvious spot to shoot Donald Trump from. There's just so many inconsistencies.
Yeah, it was a massive failure. There were multiple points of failure, any one of which, you know, might have been sufficient for the Secret Service director to resign over. So the chances that all of those, you know, security breaches or failures occurred, you know, to allow the assassination of a former and future president is just really inexcusable, and it's almost inexplicable even by gross incompetence. You know, it leads one to believe that there was government involvement. Perhaps one or more members of the president's security detail were compromised.
Let's get to. I want to read a headline: Top security chief snubs Congress. Secret Service, FBI, and Homeland Security heads reportedly refused to testify on day 2 of Trump assassination inquiry. We also know that Donald Trump, after the Republican convention, was interviewed and said, hey, had I known, we know that Donald Trump had no foreknowledge, or at least according to what he shared, had no foreknowledge of this. He said, I'd waited another 15 minutes had I known, another 5, 10, 15 minutes to go on stage to get that individual taken care of. So, and then on top of that, during that interview, he in my opinion, he gives a veiled statement of he doesn't necessarily believe the whole story as well.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours before the shooter fired, shot the president. He tried to go through like a metal detector that was set up by the Secret Service with a hunting rangefinder. So, I mean, who brings a hunting rangefinder, that doesn't have a plan to shoot someone or something? Suppose the Secret Service director, I seem to imply that wasn't like contraband, that wasn't like a deal breaker, but it did, put him on the radar, and he was spoken to by Secret Service agents, or kind of police that were on the president's security detail. But at minimum, he should have been detained for the remainder, the entire event, just as a matter of, minimal security procedures, let alone arrested. I think he should have been arrested on the spot. But, and if not, then obviously the Trump event should have been canceled. If they decided to let him in, they should have warned the president himself, or that someone came in with a rangefinder and the event might be compromised.
Let's go to the RNC convention. What was that like? What was that experience like? Have you been to one before, and what was this one like for you?
This was my second time going. I went in 2016. Back then, our Utah delegation was a Ted Cruz pledged delegation. So we had a kind of a floor fight that Senator Mike Lee helped to lead to try to keep our votes with Ted Cruz. So that was kind of a contested convention. And I was actually the deputy leader of the Utah group that was trying to, replace Donald Trump as the nominee with Ted Cruz. This time I'm total opposite. Basically everyone that was a never Trumper back during the 2016 convention are like always Trumpers, huge supporters of the president. I've never supported him more. I think, he is America's last best hope to restore peace and freedom in the United States after this horrendous authoritarian President Joe Biden has been ruining our country, assaulting our freedoms, destroying our democratic traditions and election system, subverting us, at every way, stage of the game, and most importantly, trying to imprison his leading presidential challenger, who's still at legal peril of being thrown in prison on September 18th during the sentencing hearing. So this convention was, everyone was excited, everyone was enthusiastic. It was what was really notable is it was a call for, the focus of the theme was national unity. We had a lot of multiracial speakers, a lot of African-American speakers, some Hispanics, some Asians, and, a lot of appeal to the working class. The Republican Party, maybe we should change our name. Maybe we should change our name to the America First Republican Workers Party, because that's essentially was the theme is, we're putting America first. We're going to restore our defense industrial base, restore high-paying jobs to hardworking working class and lower middle class Americans, and we're now the party of peace and the party of the working men and women of this country, which is something the Democrats previously claimed, but they've now become the party of the billionaires and mega millionaire elites.
Okay, so I don't want you to talk anymore, David. I want to be able to share this idea because you've unfortunately almost ruined it for me. One thing that I wanted to bring up with you with Biden being moved out and Kamala being installed, it's the billionaires that made this happen. It's the elites of the party that said, "Hey, we're not going to pay out. We want this to happen." You're absolutely right. In my opinion, the Democrat Party has now become the party of the elites, and it is no longer the party of the people. And now the Republicans are the party of the working class. I completely agree. I think that that pretty much that move has been pretty much solidified with moving Kamala out. Moving Biden in and moving Biden out and Kamala in. Frankly, I was kind of Freudian slip because I think Kamala is going to be moved out too eventually. That's my thoughts. But back to, how about this? We're coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, I want to hear from you what your favorite moments were from the Republican convention. I have mine. All right, folks, before we do go away from break, this is Talk with John on Main Street Media Utah, as well as K-Talk Radio, KBJA. We look forward to being back with David Pyne right after this commercial break.
You're listening to K-Talk Radio, KBJA 6ARUP Laboratory in Salt Lake City is hiring a medical laboratory scientist degree and NYU. This position requires bachelor's degree in clinical or medical laboratory science, medical technology, or in the chemical or biological sciences and ASCP or AAB certification as MLS or MT. The Medical Laboratory Scientist 3 NYQ in the Microbial Immunology 1 laboratory will provide services of a technical and non-technical nature for enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay and immunoblock testing to detect a variety of infectious diseases and platelet-specific antibodies. Will operate/maintain instrument platforms such as automated liquid handlers, manual and electronic pipetters, and incubators, perform routine and complex lab tests to provide physicians with predictive accuracy. Results will participate in preparing specimens for processing, perform waived, moderate, and highly complex analytical processes, establish, perform, and document quality assurance, quality control, and equipment maintenance, confirm and verify results through in-depth knowledge of techniques, principles, and instruments. Implement new laboratory protocols and requirements as assigned and needed. Manage large test volume fluctuations for tests with seasonal peaks. Correlate and interpret data based on knowledge of factors affecting test results, data handling and input, and trains new and current employees on procedures and policies. Qualified candidates must submit a resume to Nancy Lee, ARUP Laboratories, 500 Geppetto Way, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84108, nancy.lee@aruplab.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 150 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll learn the same degree as you would on campus from wherever you are on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, text GET to 35517. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates and why 87% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU Online degrees, text GET to 35517. That's GET to 35517.
All right, folks, this is K-Talk Radio here on KBJA. Well, this is Talk with John here on K-Talk Radio and KBJA AM 1640, and also on KMMU.org. We're broadcasting live from both platforms. So you have a choice of viewing the conversation and listening, or just listening over the radio, depending on how you'd like to consume it. Now, bottom line is we look forward to probably doing this in the future. This is our maiden voyage, as it were, and David is being so kind and courteous to us to allow us to give this the first opportunity of trying it with him. But before we continue on about the Republican convention, one of my absolute favorite people in the world, Paul Jensen, who has Inside the News that you've been on, David, with. You've been on with him. He just sent me an article. Senator Johnson, so there's expert PhD testimony and analysis on the evidence of at least 2 shooters. And that statement has been made on Fox News by Senator Johnson. He wants to know what your thoughts are on that.
I'm sorry, what was this comment again?
So he said, can you ask David if he has seen PhD expert testimony and analysis on evidence of at least 2 shooters? There are many sources for this, including Senator Ron Johnson.
So yes, there has been some evidence. So there were at least, I think, 8 shots fired, 8 or 9 that were audible, perhaps as high as 15. And if you listen closely, it appears that they were coming from 2 different directions. So one explanation would be, a Secret Service counter sniper might have been, firing shots at the shooter. However, I think during yesterday's congressional hearing with House Oversight, former, Secret Service Chief Cheadle said that only 1 round was fired to kill the shooter, perhaps as many as 2, and they both hit him and killed him. So there definitely is circumstantial evidence supporting a second shooter. There's just no concrete evidence we have that a second shooter was present. But that's certainly, I haven't heard any testimony or evidence presented by a PhD to that extent.
I will text you something that was texted to me from Paul Jensen. I will send that to you. But unfortunately, we'll get to you after we won't have a chance to review it during the show. But he just sent that to me. So let's get back to the RNC. What were your favorite moments? I have my favorite moment, and it harkens back to my youth. But what were your favorite moments?
Well, my favorite moment, of course, was when J.D. Vance was introduced. It was entered as the vice presidential nominee when Trump, sent out the message on Truth Social that he had selected J.D. Vance as his vice presidential running mate. Mike Lee of Utah, of course, our senator, great senator here in Utah, was the first to announce it on the floor. And some people thought he actually leaked information that hadn't been leaked yet, but a lot of us weren't aware. I was aware. I saw the Truth Social post come in from Trump minutes before, but that had already been confirmed when he said it. So that was my favorite moment. I love J.D. Vance. He was at the top of my list for really kind of the last 8, but really the top 3, of the rumored vice presidential frontrunners. The only person I think that would have been as good or better, possibly better, I would say as good, was Byron Donalds from Florida. He was in the top 8, but not in the top 3, rumored. And Congressman Donalds, he's African American, but he's just a stellar conservative. Very charismatic and articulate and extremely principled. So he would have been excellent as well, but probably not any better than J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has been in the Senate. He and Mike Lee have been the 2 most passionate and compelling voices against the war in Ukraine, against giving additional aid to Ukraine, the corrupt Zelensky regime, with the knowledge that it's USA that has caused the war to be prolonged, and it's resulted in the deaths or the wounding of nearly 1 million Ukrainian soldiers to date that could have been avoided had Biden accepted the Istanbul peace agreement, under which Russia had committed to withdraw all its troops to its pre-war positions in March or April of 2022.
So the biggest concern that I have, I've got a lot of audience members that have concern about J.D. Vance. One of it is being anti-Trump. and I agree with you. There were a lot of anti-Trumpers that are no longer anti-Trump, and but one issue that I do have with him is he when it came to the vaccines, he made the statement, just take it. You know, that's a very big issue for me. My concern is if another scenario comes up, is he going to do the same thing again, where he's going to say, just take the vaccine? And, you know, there's real concerns that I have with that type of mentality, that you're willing to do that.
Well, you have to remember, it was President Trump that ran on, delivering the COVID vaccine so quickly during the 2020 campaign. I mean,
right.
I think it was right around the time of the election that, that the COVID vaccine started getting issued, maybe just after that. But he ran on, saving hundreds of thousands of American lives with the vaccine and Operation Warp Speed. So, anyone who has concerns about the vaccine, why aren't they having those concerns about Trump when Trump was a bigger proponent of the vaccines than J.D. Vance was?
So I'll answer that question. The reason why I don't have quite as much, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. I think he would, as far as on this specific thing, I do think Donald Trump got it wrong. But the thing that Donald Trump didn't do was, he didn't say you needed to medical people and to the military, you're going to take the vaccine or else. And that was the message that J.D. Vance sent. So that's the reason why I have more concern with that mentality with J.D. Vance. In fact, if I remember correctly, Donald Trump's was like, hey, it's great, it's wonderful, it's the most perfect ever, but I'm not going to force you to take it. That was Donald Trump's message. My opinion of J.D. Vance's message was, hey, you've got to take it. It's just, if you're going to be in the medical field, nurses, you got to take it. Too bad.
Well, I haven't seen that statement, but I suppose it's possible that he said that about medical personnel. I seriously doubt he said that about Americans at large. I of course,
it wasn't Americans at large, but I believe it was with nurses in the medical field and also in the military.
Yeah,
I'm going to see if I can find that. I can't remember where I saw it at. I'll do my best to see if I can find that and get it to you. But the bottom line is, overall, J.D. Vance, with the choices that we had, I mean, frankly, I would rather have Ron Paul, but
Ron Paul's kind of old. I mean, I think he's older than Biden. So
yeah, and he has had a stroke. So I mean,
yeah.
But still, I've got my perfect person, and he's not available and allowing himself to do it. So, okay, let's go to. I'm going to tell you my favorite moment. I was a WWF guy, and I said WWF, not WWE, because back in my day, I was watching the WWF. Hulk Hogan tearing off the shirt and going that speech. I loved it, and that was probably my favorite moment when Hulk Hogan did that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I videoed that. Him doing that. And then an equally funny moment I thought was when Kid Rock came out and started rocking out, and all the, you couldn't see it on the TV. I rewatched it, but they had like pretended flames, like flame effects everywhere, like everything was on fire while everyone was rocking out. And I thought that was really funny. I was hoping he'd be the one to introduce Trump instead of the WWF guy that I didn't even know. That was, I guess, the head of the WWE that did it. I think Dana White or something like that.
Kid Rock could have been very interesting. Okay, so there's a few people that have some issues in the audience with some of the choices that they had, but the bottom line is, I think the Republican Party did a great job of making it a spectacle. It would be interesting if it's going to be a spectacle with the Democrats just because of what has happened with Biden. But it'll be interesting if they can reach the same level. All right, so let's hit the Biden situation. Biden resigning. And now we have the chance of Kamala Harris being in, or Kamala or whatever it is, Harris being. What were your thoughts there?
Well, I think this was a well-planned Democrat palace coup that they had planned prior to the debate. I think they deliberately scheduled the debate to try to support their plan to force Biden out of the race, to get increased Democrat support in calls to demand that he exit the race. I call it, Operation, Great Replacement, essentially, for Biden, and it succeeded masterfully. But the word is that the Democrats blackmailed Biden into pulling out of the race, with threatening him that if he didn't, they'd invoke the 25th Amendment. So maybe Kamala was on board, maybe she wasn't. But certainly she's the
I don't see how she was not on board. I guarantee you she was on board.
She was likely involved. Obama, Pelosi, and Schumer were kind of the main architects of the Biden coup to force him out of the race. Obama's kind of was the ringleader, but this was this was very much something Biden opposed. He was kicking and screaming. In fact, there's no evidence at this point that he even agreed to drop out. That letter that came out was electronically signed, meaning that he may have not even authorized it. And it may be that the Democrat coup leaders have basically presented Biden with a fait accompli, saying, "Oh, we thought you agreed to it," or maybe you agreed to it, don't you remember? Type of thing, because of course his memory is very faulty. So it's I'm not sure we'll ever know whether he actually agreed to it. I mean, if the audio call in to Kamala was right, honestly, I don't think he did.
Let me be really clear. I think you just hinted at it a little bit. I'm not convinced that was actually Biden. I think that there is a significant likelihood that was an AI phone call in with using his voice. And the reason why is that man talks for more than 30 seconds, definitely talks 60 seconds. He's goofing something up.
That's very possible. But, we're going to see tomorrow night because, of course, Biden will be speaking from the Oval Office and address the nation tomorrow night to discuss why he decided to drop out and his full-throated endorsement of his successor, Kamala Harris. A lot of people forget that this was the plan all along. Biden screwed it up. So in 2020, there was a kind of a tacit understanding that when he picked Kamala Harris, that she would succeed him not 8 years later, but 4 years later. He basically told everyone he was only going to run for one term. He'd be a transitional, kind of a bridge president to a younger generation represented by Kamala Harris. And she fully expected that to happen. And then what happened was in early 2023, Biden went off plan and against the advice of everyone, his advisors and maybe not his advisors, but against all the Democrats that tried to persuade him not to, he announced he would run for re-election. So this was kind of a course correction back to the original plan. But, at this point, there were rumors that he might be dead, as you kind of alluded to, that he was, comatose. There's been Laura Loomer has been posting all kinds of crazy stuff that he's terminally ill. His brother, Frank Biden, said that his deteriorating health was a prime reason for his decision to drop out of the race. And then he followed that up by saying that he selfishly looked forward to spending whatever time Biden had left, with his brothers. So, that kind of makes you wonder that, he's not on his deathbed, but, his life is, his health conditions are worsening to the effect that he could very possibly die within, several months or a few years.
Yeah, that seems like what he was alluding to.
This is a cow whose milk became everyone's favorite cheese in the country. Cheese only lasts so long. The impression a small business makes needs to last much longer. That's
Let's see if I can pause this commercial break for a moment because of everything that's going on here. All right, so real quickly, last thoughts before we get going. I'm almost wondering if they're doing this with Kamala Harris now just to see, is she popular enough to have a chance at winning the Democrat in winning? If she's not, could they change someone else? And who do you think are a couple vice presidential likelihoods for her?
I don't think so. I think this is a permanent replacement. I think Kamala is the permanent pick. I don't think, everyone is lined up behind her. She's already lined up, got the delegates to pledge to support her. She's got the support of all 50 party leaders in all the states. Breaking news, Schumer and Jeffries just endorsed her. So Obama's the only holdout. Every other big name Democrat in the country.
Well, let's let this station identification happen, and then we will.
As a small business owner, you're juggling it all, including customers.
All right. Okay. The station identification, I had to let happen. Okay. So your last thoughts.
So last thoughts, I think, the top VP contenders for Kamala, which she will likely pick probably by the end of next week, before the virtual convention, which formalizes her as the party nominee. I think it's Mark Kelly senator from Arizona in a swing state. He's a former U.S. Navy captain. That would really counter the whole idea of having J.D. Vance as a former Marine non-commissioned officer. So he's, I think, the most likely pick, the most logical pick that would help her out the most. Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, and then I think it's Ray Cooper, might be getting his name wrong, governor of North Carolina. Those are the three swing state senators and governors that I'm watching as the most likely picks. But there was a rumor that Mark Kelly might run against her, just kind of to make it appear as an open convention. And then that supports my speculation since Thursday that Mark Kelly would be the guy as the most logical pick in terms of strengthening Kamala Harris with a strong veteran vice presidential nominee that balances the ticket, because everyone knows that she's weak on foreign policy and that she speaks poorly.
So you don't think the rumors that Hillary may be the VP?
I don't. Yeah, I don't see any evidence of that. I don't think Hillary would accept the VP. I think she would only go for president.
That's the reason why I think she might be put in as VP. All right, David Pyne, we will talk more another time. Thank you so much for joining me here on K-Talk Radio, here on KBJA AM 1640. I appreciate you. You're an awesome guy. You're a fantastic patriot. Thank you so much for joining us today here on Talk with John.
Thanks, John. You're a great patriot as well. Always a pleasure.
All right, take care, brother. If you'll hold on for just a moment, I'm going to get things running here. We will, if you'll hold on with me, we'll stop offline or talk offline.
But with Glass Hotline, you get a business phone number and a business phone system from our mobile app, so you